All right, well, it's Bill here. And now it's like a goddamn Young and the Restless soap opera. The Toronto Maple Leafs have become a laughing stock. Well, they're always a laughing stock, but this is getting ridiculous. News that Kyle Dubas wasn't going to be re-signed. What are my thoughts? Who cares? I don't give a flying fadoo about Kyle Dubas. Don't care. Just let him go. No, we got to get into the story. So Shanaplan, we'll get into Shanaplan in just a second. But let me get this right, Shanahan. You wanted him. You made a decision in March to keep him. And you wait to the last second. And then you didn't like that he said he cared about his family. And let's get to the real heart of the issue. He came back with more money. It has nothing to do with the nonsense on Monday. That's just Brendan Shanahan being a joke. It's because Dubas tried to get more money. And how Dubas handled it, he's a moron too. Well, I know what I'll do. I'll tell you, I'm not really certain I want the job, and then ghost you for 2 days and come back and say, well, I'm cool with the job. Just talk to my agent because he's got a better financial plan. Or maybe accountabilities. Now you're hearing Dubas' side come out saying he wasn't allowed to make moves, or he had to make moves he didn't want. I guess that's how he's explaining the Nick Foligno for a first-round pick. Or signing Tavares. Maybe he's trying to get himself out of those nonsense moves. Maybe Shanahan made it. At the end of the day, this is a disgrace. You have 4 core players. Okay, Tavares. Again, you need to be Houdini to lose that piece of garbage, so I guess he's going to the wing. I don't know. Where else can you hide him? I know you can hide him in the press box. Why would it be tough for a GM to come in and say, John, you've got 2 options here. You give me a list of 10 teams, or you're going to sit in the press box for the entire year. Why is that a tough conversation to have? Like, I don't understand why other teams do this. They're ruthless. But the Leafs, no. So Dubas is like, go. Great. Oh, text, Bill, this is fantastic news. What's different on the team because of this? What changes? Name me the GM who's going to come in and pop off here. Brad Trevling? Please. Let me get this right. You're going to bring in Brad Trevling, who last year had an American star on his team, who didn't re-sign with Calgary, a Canadian team. Where do we have that here? Oh my God, it's the exact same situation. Okay. So I guess we don't want Matthews. Matthews is the best player to ever play with the Leafs in terms of talent. There is no one better. I've watched the Leafs that I can remember since, let's say, 83. No one. I love Wendell Clark. I love Doug Gilmour. I love Dave Andrzejczuk. I love Danny Markov. I love Dmitry Yushkevich. I love them all. But no one had the talent that this guy has. No one. You need to sign him. So you're going to hire a GM who's known for not being able to sign an American star in a Canadian market. That makes a lot of sense. And here's what doesn't make sense. There is no plan to Shanaplan. The Shanahan plan is missing a plan. You're telling me, if I'm not mistaken of how this goes, Shanahan was all in on Dubas without a plan B? So Shanaplan is this. I'm going to go to the OHL commissioner and ask for the brightest young executive in OHL and hire him. That's my plan. Okay. You got Lou Lamoriello, you got Mike Babcock. That made sense. Groom them, okay. You're telling me that there's no plan B. The whole time you have a GM who's not signed, and you don't have a plan B that you could immediately enact. You have 6 weeks before all these 4 players, the Tavares, the Marner's no trade contract for 2 years, the Matthews no trade, the Nylander 10 teams. If you're going to do something with this core 4, you have to do it in the next 6 weeks. and you let go of a GM and you don't immediately announce who's replacing him? That's your plan. There was no plan B. You didn't have conversations on the side just in case Dubas walks. That is just horrid management. Think about it in your regular life. You got a plan B for things that are important to you. A goddamn GM with 4 players, core players trying to be traded, and you don't have a plan B. How Shanahan has a job is beyond me. Beyond me. Just this week, that speech alone, you should be gone. You want to go embarrass your GM? Just come out and say I walked away from the GM. That's it. Why do I need to know about your contract negotiations? You sound like, oh, well, I'm going to go on and explain why I'm going to not like Dubas. You can say Dubas didn't get the job done. I let him go. Call it a day. Now I hear you wanted him back, which makes me think less of you. And then he tried to renegotiate, and then you got really tough. Oh, Shanahan, the tough guy. He was the toughest guy on the ice. And yet, one of the worst executives I've seen. Not having a plan B. Who are you going to bring in? So Brad Trevelingling, you already got my thoughts on him. Unless the name George McPhee or Doug Armstrong comes out of anyone's mouth, I'm not interested. Steve Yzerman, I'd be interested in Steve Yzerman. You know what Tampa did? There's a great one. Tampa had a plan. Steve Yzerman walked. We have Julien Brisebois. Plan. You know what Montreal had last year with Bergevin? Plan. You plan. Jesus. For all the money and all of the ability to job the Toronto Maple Leaf general manager, that's got to mean something. It's got to be one of the jobs you want. And this team makes it into a joke. Just disgusted. If you're Keith, I guess you don't. What do? You're sitting there like, I'm not doing nothing because I'm pretty much fired. Why do I want to come to work? If you're Matthews looking at the Shanaplan, what are your thoughts? Okay, you just let a manager go because, I don't know, you maybe asked for more money. And what do you think I'm going to do? Do you think, if you're Austin Matthews, do you sign right away? My answer is no. I'm a diehard Leaf fan. It'd be idiotic to sign before July 1st. I don't even know what the GM is. And someone told me that, or there was a rumor saying, oh, the core 4 were told to stay put. Wow, I'm shocked. So fire everybody. Until Mitch Marner takes a walk on a trade, I'm not interested. Any person with any respect for the game, if you get rid of John Tavares, that'd be fantastic. Good luck on that. I don't expect anything. You get rid of Marner and you keep Nylander and Matthews. That's what you do. That changes the culture. That changes the way that you play, because you can take that $10.8 million. Okay, you're going to put some into Matthews. You're going to put some into Nylander. So maybe that carves up 5 of that $10.8 million. And then you got $5 million to work with, and you only got 1 more year at Johnny T, and then you can start looking the salary cap going up. There's things you can do. You address the main concerns, your defense. You need a second-line center. It's crazy how you pay $11 million for a second-line center, and you still need one. But you can't do that without a GM. So you fire the GM, which means the coach is gone for sure, and Shanaplan gets to walk. How is the board at MLSE not going, what the flying? The only thing that makes sense to me on Dubas, the only thing that makes sense is if Dubas, I'm sure agents talk to each other, or agents talk to other clubs. Maybe Pittsburgh said, hey, this is what we're going to offer you, Kyle. And maybe that's what Kyle took that offer and said, well, I'm going to get paid for that. Why don't I use that as a bargaining chip for the Toronto one? That's the only one that makes sense to me on Kyle Dubas. And if he does get a contract with Pittsburgh, he walks. He looks way better than Shanaplan. Oh, and of course, Dubas is smart enough to keep his mouth shut, unlike some other idiot. It's ridiculous, this organization, what it's become. Think of where we were 2018. Just lost to Washington. good series, good young players. Okay, we're missing in the net. Defense is struggling. And what do? We had Martin Marincin, for God's sakes, on defense. And over the next year, we try to woo Stamkos. And then the year after that, we try to woo Tavares and win. Unfortunately, the Leafs took a situation where you couldn't fail, and they failed. And failed badly. And now this is nonsense. It is absolute garbage. Maybe they'll hire Brandon Pridham. Maybe, I don't know. Then if that was the plan, then hire him right away. I started thinking on Monday I might need to look at a new manager. Monday? You should have been thinking about that probably December. If Dubas walks, what is my plan B? If you don't have a plan B, that is insanely insane. And there's no way Shanahan should get he's going to skate on this. And we'll hire Brad Treveling, lose Matthews in a year, not trade any of our core four, and nothing will change. And that's why I don't get excited when Kyle Dubas gets fired. When Marner's gets traded, give me a call, wake me up, I'm interested. And now I need to see Shanahan fired. It won't happen, so same old garbage next year. Cheers.